So the offseason is basically over. I mean, every free agent has really moved teams, and there's no other moves that's going to happen. So today, I will go over my predictions for the 2022 NBA season. And yeah, I think it can be a great season. I think both conferences have gotten stronger, but I do think the West is stronger than the other one. But without further ado, let's get straight into the standings. Okay, so I'm just going to give you 1 to 15, and then I'll explain some of the ones that are kind of controversial. For the Western Conference, I have the Suns as the first seed, the Lakers as the second seed, the Warriors as the third seed, the Nuggets as the fourth seed, the Jazz at the 5 seed, the Mavs at the 6 seed, the Blazers at the 7 seed, and the Clippers at the 8 seed. I think the two other play-in teams will be the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets. You might be like, the Houston Rockets are hella up there, but I think that their very young talent can somewhat push them to a playoff spot. I think we all forget that they were playing pretty well when they weren't trying to lose games. When they were playing competitively, they were pretty damn good. And if Jalen Green is healthy, I think he can take this team to a play-in spot in his rookie season. That means the last 5 teams in the conference are the Pelicans, the T-Wolves, the Kings, the Thunder, and the Spurs. The Pelicans missed the play-in to me because Devontae Graham is terrible defensively. He can't do anything but hit a 3 and pass a little bit, and they just downgraded so many spots this season. You know, losing Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams is a great thing. They were fucking terrible. But also, losing Lonzo Ball is a big negative. Also, Zion wanted Lonzo Ball back.
I think, me, Brandon, and Zoe, 3 of us, we have a great relationship. I really would want Zoe to come back.
The T-Wolves ended the 12th seed. Cat is one of the top 20 players in the NBA, and I know he's a really good player, but I think that they still have some very interesting holes. In the end of the day, the West is so deep, bruh. A 12 seed in the West might be a damn near 500 team, and I think the T-Wolves can get to like about 40 wins, but I think that they won't make the playoffs. That's how strong the West is, bruh. And then the last 3 teams are kind of self-explanatory. The Kings, the Thunder, and the Spurs, all in rebuild mode. And I think the Spurs are the last seed because they've moved on from so many big pieces. Lost Patty Mills, lost DeMar DeRozan. They're just trying to tank and get a high draft pick and hopefully another franchise player like they did when they tried to forcefully lose that one season to get Tim Duncan. To me, the Nets are the first seed, the Bucks are the second seed, the Heat are the third seed, the Hawks are the 4th seed, the Celtics are the 5 seed, the Sixers are the 6th seed, the Bulls are the 7th seed, and the Knicks are the 8th seed. Now, this is very interesting. I was contemplating having the Hornets over the Knicks as the 8th seed, but I mean, their offseason was so mid to me. And I think the Knicks did okay in the offseason. I think that they will regress because there's not as many injuries this season, or at least I don't think there will be. But I think they're still a playoff level team. I think Julius Randle, if he just stayed at that state in which he was playing last year, I think this team can be taken to the playoffs. And yeah, it's a more deep Eastern Conference than it was last year. Last year with the Eastern Conference, you saw a significant drop-off from teams like 6 to 8, at least production-wise. But then the 2 play-in teams to me are the Charlotte Hornets and the Toronto Raptors. The Hornets, bro, they're going to be competitive. LaMelo Ball will improve. The Raptors will be a very competitive team. They still have a really good roster around them. Yes, they have like no scorers. To be honest, bruh, who the fuck is scoring the ball for the Raptors? At least efficiently. We know Fred VanVleet can score, but he shot like 39% from the field. They have no scores, but the defense will take them to a play-in spot. And then the last 3 teams in that conference are the Washington Wizards, the Cavaliers, the Magic, the Pistons, and the Pacers. The Cavaliers, they will be the 11th seed. They have some nice talent. I think Evan Mobley will be nice, but it'll also be kind of tricky fitting that Evan Mobley and Jared Allen right next to each other. The Magic, they're just a rebuilding team. And same thing with the Pistons and the Pacers. And then let's get into the playoffs. To me, the playoffs are the most important part of the season. And I would tell you the awards, but that's for a different video. So let's start it with the first round in the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns versus the LA Clippers. And I think Phoenix wins this in 6. Kawhi might return, but I don't think he will be in a good enough spot. We know that people have returned from ACL injuries like they're brand new. Kevin Durant came back last season and he played at an amazing all-time level in the playoffs and in the regular season. But I mean, I don't expect Kawhi to do the same thing. Kawhi has always been eased into coming back to the game, and the reason why he wanted out of San Antonio was because they were trying to push him to get back into the game. Paul George leading the Clippers to a playoff appearance will be great on his resume. In the 4-5 matchup, the Nuggets will go against the Utah Jazz, and to me, I think Denver wins this in 6. The Utah Jazz have a very deep roster, but when Jamal Murray comes back at the All-Star game, I think that the Nuggets will take a leap. I think that they will have a similar time when they just got Aaron Gordon last year and they went on a win streak. I think that they can do the same thing. Maybe they jump up to the 3rd seed. Who knows? But I think that the Nuggets will improve a lot more when Jamal Murray comes back, and he's coming back at the All-Star game. So Jamal Murray has time to ease back into that great All-Star level self that we've seen him in the past. And yeah, last year before he went down, for the 25 games before he went down, he was averaging like 25 points per game on 64% true shooting percentage. That man was shooting lights the fuck out. The Golden State Warriors against the Dallas Mavericks, the 3-6 matchup. I think that the Golden State Warriors will walk out here in 6. They're just a much more experienced team. And yes, adding Clay back to me doesn't make a crazy impact. But we also have to understand that Stephen Curry's been playing at all-time levels. If you give Stephen Curry a little bit more help, a little bit more depth, like the Warriors did this offseason and getting them Otto Porter Jr., even though he's not a huge signing, I think that Stephen Curry is such an all-time great player at this point in his career and having the best peak in the league right now that I think that he's good enough to take him to the 3rd seed and make the 2nd round. So yes, Golden State Warriors beat the Mavs in 6. The Mavs didn't do anything really good this offseason. They let go of Josh Richardson, which is good. He's a negative. But what else did they do? They got Jason Kidd as a coach. I don't think that's too good of a coach for Luka Doncic. The Mavs are a very interesting team, but Luka Doncic will make sure that they don't miss the playoffs. And then with the 2-7 matchup, the LA Lakers go against the Portland Trailblazers. I think this is a sweep. The Portland Trailblazers, if they keep Damian Lillard, I think that they can still make the playoffs. Like, Damian Lillard is one of those talents that will always take you to the playoffs, and I don't think the Portland Trailblazers have missed the playoffs in a while. And yeah, in retrospect, the Portland Trailblazers roster look nice. Look, you got Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, and Yusuf Nurkic. That's a nice lineup. But in the West is stacked. You need 2 stars or 3 stars to be one of the best teams in the West, and they only have 1 star in Damian Lillard. So then this takes us to the 2nd round matchups. The Phoenix Suns against the Denver Nuggets. The 1st seed against the 4th seed. I think the Nuggets can win this in 7. This will be a grueling series. They're going to have an MVP level player in Nikola Jokic on the Nuggets, yes. But also the Phoenix Suns are just still an amazing offense and a great defense with elite 3-point shooting. They will not go down without a fight, and 7 games and maybe even an overtime in the 7th game is what it will take for the Nuggets to win this. I think that the Nuggets can win this because I think their star power is better. Nikola Jokic is better than Devin Booker, and Jamal Murray will be better than Chris Paul next season. And yes, their depth is kind of questionable, but I think if you can get a couple good games out of Jeff Green, if you can have a couple of those streaky games, that's great. And Aaron Gordon will also improve considering he'll have more spacing around him when Jamal Murray comes back, and also Michael Porter Jr. will improve as a talent. So yes, this will be a very close series, and the Suns are still a fantastic team, but I think that the age of Chris Paul and the healthiness of the Denver Nuggets will let them prevail. And then the 3 seed versus the 2 seed, the Golden State Warriors versus the LA Lakers. To me, I think the Lakers take this in 6. The Lakers have an amazing amount of talent, and yes, their perimeter defense is looking pretty suspect, but I think that they can do enough to hold off Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry makes or breaks this team, and he will make it. He will make them take it to 6, but I think that's the most he can do considering he doesn't have another superstar on his team when the Lakers have 2 superstars and a really good star point guard. And this takes us to the Western Conference Finals, the Denver Nuggets against the LA Lakers. I think the LA Lakers walk out of here in 6. I think you can go 7 though. There are so many great games that come out of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Just having those 2 together will make it so much better. And you know, the Nuggets, I feel like we need to trade for some perimeter defenders. And I think that's the one thing we're lacking on right now. Will Barton will have nice streaky games. That'll push you into another win in that series. But I think the Lakers win in 6 because they have solid depth right now and they have a pretty damn good big 3 as far as I'm concerned. They have 2 all-time great playmakers in LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, and they have one of the best finishers in the game, one of the best mid-range shooters in the game, one of the best big men scorers ever, and one of the best peak power forward players ever in Anthony Davis. Okay, then let's go to the East, and to me, the Nets will beat the Knicks in 4. They will completely body this team. The Knicks have no business. Okay, The Nets' third best player is tiers above the Knicks' best player, Julius Randle. Kyrie Irving is so much better than Julius Randle. He's arguably a top 13 player when he's at his best. And yeah, the Nets will wipe the floor with his team. Then the next series will be the 4 and 5, the Hawks versus Celtics. I see the Celtics getting out of here in 6. Trae Young is amazing, and his playmaking will win you games. But let's keep it a buck, bruh. The Celtics have better talent. Jason Tatum is a better player than Trae Young. Jaylen Brown is a better player than John Collins. The Hawks are a very good up-and-coming team, but they will need experience, and this experience will be good. After making it a great run last year, it's okay that they lose in the first round this year because they are very young. But Jason Tatum has a lot of playoff experience. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. Same thing with Al Horford. I think that they can just let it mesh, and they will get to the second round with this team. And then the 3-6 matchup is the Miami Heat against the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers will definitely make this an okay series because Joel Embiid is amazing talent. Did we all watch that Heat 76ers game a couple months ago? The Heat had the perfect game plan to stop Joel Embiid. Right now they have more talent. I think that it will go 6, but I can see them taking it as little as 5 games. Ben Simmons is a liability in the playoffs. Tobias Harris is streaky in the playoffs. Your one good playoff player that is consistent on that team is Joel Embiid, and he's going against one of the best defensive bigs in the league. So no, I don't think the Sixers have much of a chance against the Heat. Okay, and then the next matchup, the Bucks against the Bulls. Giannis will wipe the floor with his team. You know what I mean? He gonna give his team the business. I mean, who's there to guard Giannis? Nikola Vucevic? The last time we saw a non-good defensive big beat Giannis, at least in the regular season, it was Nikola Jokic, and he put 38 points, like 12 rebounds, and 10 assists, shooting like 70% from the field. Nikola Vucevic is not gonna do that. So they're not gonna outscore the Bucks. They're not gonna out-defend the Bucks. The Bucks will win in 4. This takes us to the second round, where the Nets will match up against the Boston Celtics. The Nets have this in 5. The Nets are a dominant super team right now, and I don't know if anybody's going to stop them. That is all I need to tell you. James Harden, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, all at their best is no joke. They would have won a championship last year if it wasn't for the injuries. And then we got the 3-2 matchup, the Heat against the Bucks. I think this will go 7. Now, we all clowned on the Heat, and we not as in me, but y'all did. Y'all clowned on the Heat last season for getting swept. But we not going to act like in 2020 they didn't just beat the Bucks. Yes, Eric Bledsoe is not a positive. But we going to act like Jrue Holiday is an efficient scorer? No, he's not. So I think this will go 7, and the Heat will edge it out. Kyle Lowry is really damn good, and we all know that the rest of the Heat roster is really good. And I might have to eat my words on this, but I think the Heat can win in 7. This takes us to the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Nets beat the Heat in 6 games. Okay, and this takes us to the NBA Finals, and I think the Brooklyn Nets will win the championship. The Brooklyn Nets will win in 7. So I think that in the end of the day, the star power will win, and the Nets have a better, bigger 3 than the LA Lakers. So the champions to me are the Nets. And yeah, I know I said the Lakers could win the championship the last video I did on the standings, but hey, Nets in 7 to me.
I don't want your bitch, that's why I gave her back. They were boring and I do not be with that. Smoking on this tree, I eat with the cat. It be around me cause I don't trust a soul.